State Senator John McCain was known as a maverick. He earned the title because he was a conservative Republican who was not afraid to challenge his own party or even reach across the aisle for support from Democrats. The McCain Institute is using the senator's own words to encourage a new generation of mavericks to come out and vote on November 6th. Take a listen.
We stand for truth against falsehood, freedom against tyranny, right against injustice, hope against despair.
The initiative is called Mavericks Needed. Kurt Volker is the executive director of the McCain Institute. He's also the former U.S. ambassador to NATO. Mr. Ambassador, it's so nice to have you with us.
It's great to be here.
Tell me the agenda, the mission of the Institute.
Well, the mission is to advance character-driven leadership. That's how we've been around for 6 years now, trying to identify emerging leaders in the U.S., around the world, train, network, equip, and inspire them to show the courage and integrity that a good leader should show, and that we feel Senator McCain exemplified.
What's a maverick, would you say, by definition?
Maverick is someone who is, just as you said, willing to buck a trend, willing to do what they think is right, even if it may hurt them, but willing to stand up and try to fix something.
You've said it's not about left or right, it's about right or wrong.
Yeah, and what we're not saying that left is wrong, by the way, either. What we're saying is you got to take a stand on principles and on issues. What is it that you see happening? How should we go about that? Be honest about it. Don't make it a partisan fight. Try to actually take personal responsibility as a citizen. Get engaged. And one of the things you can do to be an engaged citizen is to vote. And we're not saying how to vote. People should make up their own minds. But get engaged and be responsible.
I had thought the videos, the Maverick videos, would be like a call to come and join the GOP. And they're not that at all.
No,
and in fact, some of them, I don't even think feel like GOP. I mean, they're very, very diverse. I think that's kind of been an issue a little bit. They talk a lot about decency and voters' rights. I don't think that those are things that either party at this moment is standing on.
Right.
That surprised me.
Well, we're not trying to be political here. Obviously, Senator McCain was a conservative Republican, as you said, but he also stood for a lot of other things that transcend that. Personal courage, integrity, leadership, these core values matter. They are what make us Americans, that our country was founded on these core values. It's what we believe in our hearts. And so we need to have a campaign to reignite that, if you will.
There was a time when you'd be rewarded, if you will, for reaching across the aisle, for being thoughtful, for having character, that those things were actually truly, I think, genuinely seen as a plus. And now I think it's fair to say that those things would not be seen as a plus in the media as well. The media would see that as weakness.
I think it's become a very polarized environment. And I think most people are afraid that if they did try to work with someone from the other party or bring a bipartisan coalition together, they would be attacked for that. I hope that we can overcome that.
We're at a time when thinking about elected officials as being people of character and integrity and all the words that you use, having personal courage.
Right.
Those don't roll off the tongue, to be honest, at this time in American politics, right this moment. As you see this younger crop, both on the GOP side, on the Democrat side, independents, are you feeling hopeful? What do you see?
I am hopeful. I am hopeful.
Like really hopeful, or just
really
because you're an optimistic guy?
No, I am an optimistic person, but I'm also really hopeful because I don't think the country has fundamentally changed in terms of its core character and values as a country. Americans are fair-minded. Americans do want freedom and democracy. They want security. They want economic opportunity. And they want to get along with other people. So I think the core values of the country are still there.
I like the sound of that. Ambassador Kurt Volker, nice to have you. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you, Soledad.